Let's talk today a little bit about the county. Some things that you've done in the last 9 years that have really changed the way the engineer's office has worked in the county. What are some of the highlights of what you've been able to do the past 9 years?
Well, we've comprehensively looked at our entire engineering program. And you may remember that 10 years ago, I ran under efficiency and pavement were two of my big things. And so we've really looked at improving efficiency across our entire organization. What does that mean? That means that we have not increased the number of employees, but we've changed what people do. So we now actually have an active engineering floor. We have 8 engineers that are designing every day on that floor to make our engineering better. In addition to that, we have comprehensively looked at our asset management, which is kind of the fancy way of saying, hey, we're taking care of things. We're defining, hey, what are the worst of the worst on the bridges, on culvert pipes, whatever that is. And it's been a journey to get there because we have 6,900 culvert pipes in Lancaster County. And so if we have no inventory of the pipe condition, it's really hard to maintain that system.
And that's amazing, 6,900 of them. And 9 years ago, they weren't really categorized anywhere where you could see them. I saw you speak recently and you had a slide that actually showed where they all are and maintenance needs for those. And I think managing those assets is a huge deal. And I guess I'll bet it's brought some savings.
It's brought some savings, but it's also given us focus. Again, because we need to ensure that our system is resilient, and we all hate road closures. Every time I close a road, I have somebody come in and kind of lose their shizzle on me a little bit. I had somebody in a public meeting last week tell me that they hated me for closing roads, and I think we got to the point at the end of the conversation where he said he was neutral towards me, and that was the best he was ever going to be able to do, and I'll take that. But when your system is so bad that you have to start closing roads and bridges, and really, right out of the gate, I had to start closing bridges as Lancaster County engineer. And at one point after the 2019 floods, we had 28 bridges closed in Lancaster County, and we're down to 4 right now.
That's amazing.
And that's really significant. That's the ant in the rubber tree that we're just picking at it every single day. And hopefully by the end of the year, God willing that we don't add any more closed bridges. We could, I hope not, but we have really a potential of having 0 closed bridges again. And we're gonna have a party when that happens.
Sweet.
So when you get ready to close a bridge, or when you climb underneath the bridge, because when I ran for county commissioner, I know you and I had a lot of conversations.
We did.
And so what do you do? What is the process for making sure a bridge is safe, and when is it time to get it closed?
So you actually have to be a certified bridge inspector, and there's coursework and a test. And in Lancaster County, we have 5 individuals that are certified bridge inspectors. We inspect bridges on a rotating schedule, depending on the condition of the bridge. And so some bridges we inspect every year, some every 2 years, newer ones maybe every 4 years. And then some bridges are really not awesome bridges, we inspect after any substantial rain event.
Oh, wow.
And so when you think about what that is for our system, now we're spending all of our time doing inspections. And where we had 15 or 20 of those bridges that we're having to inspect after any major rainfall 10 years ago, now we're down to 6. Again, what are we doing with that time? Well, now we have more time to design bridges, right? And to comprehensively look at the maintenance of the bridges, to get the bridges that we have that are in good condition to stay in good condition, because we don't want them to be, and bridges are rated by good, fair, and poor. So if the bridge is poor, we want to get it off the system. We currently have 11 bridges in Lancaster County that are rated poor.
How many bridges total do we have?
289.
Oh my gosh. And 11 are poor.
11 are poor.
That's
right now.
Pretty good. I mean, that seems like a pretty small number.
It's a significant improvement over the last 10 years. We have replaced, by the end of the summer, we'll be at 35 replaced bridges in the last 5 years.
That's
wow.
Amazing.
That's incredible.
Amazing. Yeah.
So now I mean, we're all dealing with inflation, and I imagine that's no different for you. What's happening with the cost of concrete and asphalt? And
we've really seen those prices. Like 2 years ago, I would have told you construction inflation was at about 25%, which is, I mean, you're doing 25% less with everything. Last year, people were like, oh, hey, it's getting better. It's at 11%. Well, it's at 11% on top of the 25% from the year before, right? It's that compounding inflation. This last year, we were able to bid 5 bridges, and one of them came in a little high, but it was not still out of line. The majority of those bridges came in at about 25% under the engineer's estimate.
Oh, wow.
And I think what's happening for us in Lancaster County that's really significant is the South Beltway is done now. And so we kind of paid a little bit of South Beltway tax with all of our construction because the South Beltway is such a big project. It just pulled in all the contractors and nobody had any capacity to do anything. So if you needed something, you were going to pay.
Okay. So South Beltway is totally done?
South Beltway is done.
Okay.
So let's talk about the East Beltway.
Let's talk about that sexy East Beltway,
Yeah,
right?
we need that.
If we could get the East Beltway in, it actually completes the Beltway around Lincoln. It's significant for Lancaster County. The city of Lincoln really felt that the South Beltway was theirs and that the East Beltway should be the county's. Super interesting. If you go back all the way to 1996, the last studies that were comprehensively done on both beltways, the East Beltway met all the criteria to be built in 1996. It checked all the boxes that, hey, this is justified by projected traffic. And, hey, the county maybe wasn't paying as much attention to it as they should have. The city focused on the South Beltway. We got the South Beltway first. The East Beltway is about 5 miles longer than the South Beltway. The East Beltway has what I'll call less complex drainage issues. We don't have as many bridges. Hopefully they'll have to be built for it because we're not crossing creeks and railroads and all that other stuff. So my latest estimate on the East Beltway is $550 million.
Jeez, chump change.
That's, yeah.
A casual little project.
Gary will chip in on some of that.
Casual
He'll
little
help you out.
Yeah,
So, with the East Beltway, because I haven't seen any of the maps yet. So, but I live in Panama, so I'm always driving up and down those, 148th, 162nd.
Yep.
So where exactly does it go? Is it going up 148th or 120th or?
Well, the corridors were studied for that back in 1996, and they were actually approved by the Federal Highway Administration. So we have an approved corridor environmental certification from 2003.
Okay.
And now, of course, it's 2024 and that cert is expired. So we need to start over again. We looked at the 148th Street corridor. And, when you're driving down it, you're like, hey, why wouldn't it be 148th Street? Except for think about all the driveways.
Right.
And then kind of in your mind, overlay the width of the South Beltway into that 148th Street corridor. We would be literally displacing hundreds of residents buying homes, which is not awesome.
Right.
So the corridor that was studied is, it's kind of, I'm going to give it an aboutish 123rd.
Okay.
Ish in there.
And is that all the way to I-80? Or it's got to jet out at some point?
All the way, it kind of connects right on just south of Lincoln Auto Auction.
Okay.
There would be that big, engineers, we like to call it the spaghetti, right? The big interchange, the big spaghetti to connect it up to I-80. But think about how significant that would be, Travis, to you. Hey, you want to jump on, you head north from Panama on 162nd Street, you pop on and you just, you head up. And
it's
now,
a dream. Yeah,
now you have
dream.
a 4-minute commute instead of a half-an-hour commute.
Yeah, because I either have to go to get to I-80, either have to go through Lincoln or through Eagle, and it's way out of the way. So yeah, it'd be a dream for me. So like from O Street, just north of O Street, I know a lot of those houses are moving. Is it going to affect those people?
So, as we go north of O Street, what we've done, what the county and the city did way back in 2006 is they laid out a corridor protection for the Beltway. So anytime somebody has wanted to build a new house that would be in that corridor, we've said no. Now, what does that mean when you say no? It means you have to buy the ground.
Right.
So, and that's the whole deal behind corridor protection. So, we study it and we say your project is out of the way or it's not out of the way.
Okay.
I would think the traffic count on 148th is just off the charts. I travel that often going out to Waverly when I'm showing homes there, and it's just so busy. I bet it would really alleviate a lot of that traffic also. And your maintenance on that road has to be off the charts.
It's significant. So fun fact, my really awesome engineer buddy, Mark Meisinger at FHU, who's a local consulting firm, studied the corridor for us in 2018. And when he pulled all of his numbers and we talked about him, he was like, hey, when I looked at these numbers, I thought my calcs were wrong.
Yeah,
and that's
believe it.
because he had never studied a corridor with such a high projected growth rate. And I mean, I think we go ahead and get traffic counts of that corridor on a regular basis, and his numbers are spot on. So that 2018 study says 148th Street fails all traffic conditions in 2030, and that's coming up.
Oh, yeah.
And that's why we have Senator Bo Ballard that brought forth the legislation in the last legislature saying that it's an emergency, declaring an emergency that we start work on the East Beltway. And I have people come to me and go like, oh, come on, Dingman, it's not an emergency. Well, these projects take so long to get through the process. I mean, I'm looking at
Sure.
Saltillo Road now is an 8-year project. South 68th Street is a 6 or 7 year project. And they're significant to the community, and we need to start them and push them along. But they take, especially when they're of this magnitude, they can take a decade.
Oh, wow.
Well, Pam, I remember in 1988, I believe I was on the community congress that the city did at the time. And the part that I was on, we were talking about roads, and it was like, this has to be done. These Beltway has to be done by 2000 or we're in trouble. So we're in trouble. It needs to be done. I think that's kind of funny. Well,
So-
not really.
How much land have you guys bought up on that? Do you only buy when somebody says, hey, I want to build, and you go, I can't, and then
Right.
you have to buy it? Is that all you're buying
so that
now?
basically is the nuance behind corridor protection. Yeah. So someone says they want to build something. So we have bought a piece of ground behind the Watts Electric facility.
Okay.
There's a little piece of ground behind Smart Chicken and Tractor Supply. There's a piece of ground kind of over by the auto auction because somebody wanted to build there. And then there south, there's another couple miscellaneous pieces where somebody wanted to build a house, and we had to go ahead and buy the lot.
Okay.
And the county and the city actually have a sinking fund to buy those pieces when they come up. Of course, the sinking fund probably isn't big enough to buy the whole corridor,
Right.
but it can continue to buy little pieces and parts so we can preserve that corridor as we go. Because you might not realize that we've been studying the East Beltway for decades in Lancaster County. The East Beltway was originally supposed to be 70th Street, right?
Oh,
in
geez.
the 60s and 70s. And then, of course, that all built up, and that means it has to move out. And we're just to the point where we can't continue to use 148th Street as the poor man's East Beltway.
Yeah. And Lincoln just keeps pushing further and further east.
The traffic volumes out there are astounding. And we look at 148th Street. It's got those narrow lanes that we have all over the county where the drive lane is 11 feet. It's got a big drop off. It's on the side. And they're just, they're unforgiving corridors. And they're really, they're past their time. It's what we built in the 60s and 70s as a standard. Our new standard, Travis, you probably see it down to your end of the county, is South 82nd Street. And you got that 28-foot top. You got a rumble strip on either side of it, so you can kind of feel if you're meandering from traffic. You have a turf shoulder that you have an opportunity to recover from if you still missed it.
Right.
But these corridors, they can be very dangerous and unforgiving.
Sure.
So on the one question that I always get hit with, or one comment that I always get hit with, is East Beltway is never going to happen. It's just never going to happen. And I go, well, really? What? I mean, there's a plan, and they're buying up land. So what would you say to those people?
So one of the reporters at the Lincoln Journal asked me that question, and I kind of gave the tongue-in-cheek response. Well, I'm not going to retire until it happens, right? Which hopefully I get to retire before I'm 90 then. The whole thing about the East Beltway is, as a community, we need to actively get engaged with just continuously being present and saying, build the Beltway, because without us as citizens saying this is what we need, not just for Lancaster County, but regionally. I mean, the way it would convey farm to market traffic up even from Nebraska City, you're on Highway 2 and you can scoot up the Beltway.
Yeah.
And get around the city. Not only that, the savings of individual times. Think about, Travis, you and your family down in South Lancaster County, and now you can give back your family an hour of time every day.
Yeah.
And how significant that is to you and your family.
Yeah. Well, and when I look at both beltways, my son, he still lives at home, but he works out by the airport, and man, that beltway, it's just one more person that's completely skirting Lincoln to go to work. And I think of all those people who live down, I keep calling it Highway 2. I don't remember what it's called now.
Nebraska Park.
Officially, we're going to rename that right now. That is still Highway 2. But all those people there who are going north or going to Omaha, how much traffic is that going to alleviate and lighten up on the roads in Lincoln?
I had a business on 56th and Highway 2 for 36 years. And I will tell you, I can remember being trapped in semi-central going down Nebraska Parkway all the time. And it was dangerous. And now you drive down and you may see a semi here and there.
Birds are singing.
Yes.
The sun is always shining. It's really, it's made a significant difference.
Well, and then on 148th Street, just going back there a second. So that lane is 11 feet wide. Yeah. The average now is what, 13, 14? I mean, it's way off.
So the standard that we would build now is 14, is a 14-foot drive lane. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's narrow. There's no forgiving when you're driving down there. If you blink and swerve over.
We really need to pay attention. In our safety study that we did of the corridor, we also know that in Lancaster County, we're kind of in. Travis, I'm sure this was just you that we picked up in the study. Are you a speeder? We kind of have a speeding problem in Lancaster County. So, those roads are designed for 55 miles an hour. And we know from our studies that we have median speeds in the 72 median speeds and 72 miles an hour. So, in addition to a really narrow, unforgiving lane, then we're kind of treating it a little bit like a racetrack, and it just doesn't work.
Okay. So we need an East Beltway. Let's all talk about that regularly.
Let's do it.
Now I'm going to transition a little bit to federal aid dollars.
Yeah.
Where are we at with that?
Well,
it's a nice, sweet dollar amount.
It is a sweet dollar amount. When I started 10 years ago, we had no federal aid projects. And then what people don't realize is for federal aid projects, you really have to stay on it. And sometimes you propose things and people don't take it. And it's a competitive process for a lot of different pieces of it. So Lancaster County currently has $65 million in federal aid projects. And so this is significant for all of Lancaster County. What is that? That's about $15 million investment in the Saltillo Road corridor for safety improvements. There are going to be roundabouts there. It's a perfect application for roundabouts with those T intersections. It's about $15 million investment in South 68th Street to blow out those 11-foot lanes. Let's get rid of them. We know they don't work. And then it's another $12 million in North 14th Street from Stonebridge Creek on the north end of town all the way to Raymond Central. Significant. There's some bridge investment at 27th and Arbor, and there's some other projects we're working on with our federal aid too. And so it is game changing for Lancaster County. Order of magnitude. I think there was a 5-year period here in Lancaster County where the sole investment in paving new roads was like $1 million. And now we're looking at like 65. It's also Fletcher Avenue from 84th Street to 148th Street is currently gravel. Congressman Flood was instrumental in getting us an earmark grant for that from HUD, $4.4 million. And we're looking at paving that hopefully next year. So it's super exciting.
I love hearing the word earmark because we didn't do those in Nebraska. And I don't know why, but I think Flood opened up the floodgates for that because now we have senators interested in earmarks. I was real negative earmarks, a decade or so ago when we had the bridge to nowhere in Alaska, right? Remember that? And it just became a bit negative for earmarks. But listen, somebody's getting them somewhere. Why not us? I'm glad to see that we're getting some of that money.
Well, and I have to really give Congressman Flood a little raise the roof sign because here's the thing. He has an understanding for us as a community. And it wasn't just Lancaster County that got earmark money because of flood. It was really his whole district. And when that happened, this is direct property tax relief because when we get this money from federal aid to build these roads, it doesn't come from property tax.
Right.
And I think that's super important for people to realize that, somebody's going to get the earmark.
So what qualifies a project as, do we have a break?
We probably need to throw it to break. One comment I want to read, though, before we do throw it to break. Someone said roundabouts suck. Too many people out there don't know how to navigate them properly.
I would totally agree with that.
I mean, yeah, because when I was drive testing in Columbus, we only have like one roundabout in the like whole city. So we had like one to practice on. And it's like, I know how to do it. But it was like when I got the Lincoln, then you got the 2-lane roundabouts and it's a lot more.
And I'm the only one that knows how to do the 2-lane roundabouts because I'm just kidding.
I navigated a 5-lane roundabout
Oh my goodness.
in Valencia last year.
That's too much for me.
Wow.
Too much.
That's a Big Ben Parliament.
But we better throw it to break. When we come back, we're continuing this conversation on the LIBA Hour right here on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
School tells you all about the 4 seasons: spring, summer, and so on. And then there's a way we really tell what time of year it is. Sports seasons, football season, baseball season, or even off season. Well, what's the chocolate season? Well, it's now, of course. And now, and always. Whether you're looking for a caffeinated pick-me-up on the way to work, a little snack on the way home, or you need the perfect gift that's sure to be appreciated, it's time for the chocolate season, y'all. 40th and Old Cheney, or order ahead at thechocolatseason.com. See you there.
The first ever Pro Volleyball Federation Championship is set. The Omaha Supernovas will face the Grand Rapids Rise this Saturday at the CHI Health Center in Omaha in the match for $1 million for the right to claim the title in the inaugural season of the Pro Volleyball Federation. The Mullen Motors pregame show with Derek Pearson and Renee Saunders starts at 2:30 p.m. with first serve at 3:30. Make sure to tune in for the next Ag Appraisal and Realty postgame show right after the match ends. Catch all the action on your flagship station, 93.7 The Ticket, and statewide on the Pro Volleyball Federation Radio Network.
This is Coach Bill Bush. You all know my passion for Nebraska. Having coached all over the country, I can honestly say there is no place like Nebraska. You know where there's also no place like? Midwest Bank. Midwest Bank has proudly served Nebraska for over 70 years, and they're located in 9 different communities. Midwest Bank is ready, willing, and able to meet all your personal, business, and agriculture needs. Your community, your bank, and mine, Midwest Bank. Find out more at Midwest Bank. Member FDIC.
93.7 The Ticket is proud to provide listeners with daily opportunities to win contests and prizes on our airwaves, and would like to take this opportunity to remind you of a couple rules. All participants must be 21 or older and must wait 30 days after winning a prize before participating in another contest. Once you win, you have 30 days to pick up your prize at the KMTK Studios, 1040 O Street in Lincoln, or your prize will be forfeit. Thank you for participating in our contest, and thank you for listening to 93.7 The Ticket.
When we're looking out for a homeowner, we're always keeping their budget in mind. We try to maximize things that are important to them.
Bob Benish is the founder and president of Aspen Builders, online at aspenbuildersinc.com.
So we really try to maximize the size because 5 years from now, you can't just make your house bigger. The one thing I can tell you is that most builders in Lincoln, we all are about the same price. The difference comes in the products that we put in and the way we put in those products. The old saying, you get what you pay for, is pretty accurate when you're building a home. If you put nicer windows in and you put nicer cabinets, it's going to cost a little bit more. If those things are important to you, then you want to do it. We can try to incorporate in your floor plan and get a house that you're going to be happy with.
Make your dream home a reality and call Aspen Builders at 423-6811. Online at aspenbuildersinc.com. Your home is waiting at Aspen Builders.
Houses? They're expensive. And once you buy one, you're kind of stuck with it for a while. You need to make sure you get your best house for the best price. You need Ben Bleicher and his team of pros at Professional Realty Group. They'll take the time to figure out what's important for you in your dream home, and they have the expertise to find the hidden issues that could surprise you after the sale. That's professional knowledge, proactive service. We call that potential. Ben Bleicher and the team at Professional Realty Group of Berkshire Hathaway's Home Service Ambassador. Find more online at prg-ne.com.
At Parkview Animal Hospital in Lincoln, it's not just a professional care that sets them apart, but their warm staff and state-of-the-art facilities. Whether it's for a routine checkup or a comprehensive medical procedure, at Parkview, your pet isn't just another number, but a valued member of their caring family. Visit them at pahlincoln.com today and in person just south of 14th and Pine Lake Road. Parkview Animal Hospital, your pet, our passion. for happier, healthier furry friends.
Your home is your empire. Protect it with Empire Fence. Get a free instant quote with the online estimating tool at empire-fence.com. See an upfront estimate with no hidden fees. An Empire Fence can provide privacy and improve the appearance of your home. Keep kids and pets in or out of your yard. Increase security and add value to your property. Visit empire-fence.com now to view the stylish and maintenance-free possibilities for your home and get a free instant online quote. Let Empire Fence protect your empire.
This is area race announcer James Rowland. Join me and Bree Fan Steel every Sunday night from 7 to 8 on 93.7 The Ticket for the Finish Line, where we cover all things motorsports from local racing to racing around the world. Every Sunday night from 7 to 8 on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Back to The Ticket weeknights on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, we're back with Engineer Dingman, right? And Gary. So back on, we were talking about federal dollars. What exactly qualifies? Because when I think federal dollars, I'm thinking I-80, I-180.
Right.
That's a federal, road. But obviously Saltillo is not very important to Joe Biden. So why would he be helping fund that? So what qualifies it?
So federal aid, it's a federal aid route, and it's been defined in the past. So we have a grid across Lancaster County of defined federal aid routes. So Saltillo is a federal aid route, so it's eligible for federal dollars.
Okay. So there's do we qualify that as a city, a county, a state? This is
right. So we have state roads, and we have county roads, and we have city roads.
Okay.
And it's kind of confusing to people because, like, let's say you're on 77 and you get off at Van Dorn, and before you drive up to the housing. So when you're on the ramp, you're in the state's jurisdiction. And then when you get past the ramp, you're in Lancaster County's jurisdiction. And then you get up to the houses and you're in the city's jurisdiction.
Right.
And then you get through the houses, you're in the county's jurisdiction again. And then houses, city jurisdiction, county jurisdiction. So people kind of freak out, right? Like, hey, Dingman, like, why didn't you fix the road in downtown Lincoln? It's not my jurisdiction.
Yeah.
My jurisdiction is Lancaster County, outside of all of the cities and villages boundaries.
Okay. Because it's funny, because you and I have actually had several conversations on this, because I
know where the line is, Mr. Filing.
She's got the map.
In Panama, so I'm the chair, essentially the mayor in Panama, and we have a bridge that is struggling. I guess it's more of it's not really a bridge.
It's a bridge length box culvert.
Box culvert, that's right. And there are roads that are state roads. There are roads that are county roads. There are Panama roads, and we actually share a road. You have a half a road, which whenever you're ready to take my half, I'm going to give it to you. That's my gift.
And here's what it really is, Mr. Filing. I'm going to give you the Lancaster County's part of the road.
No, you're too generous. I want you to take mine, ladies first.
Kids.
Just, people probably don't really realize that on these jurisdictional boundaries, I mean, anytime the city wants to take one of my junky bridges through an annexation and growth, I'm like, hey, take that thing.
And take that off my books.
And by the way, those are really horrible precedents. We all need to work together to ensure that our county infrastructure is good. Because again, the average citizen who's sitting here doesn't know, hey, I just drove through the state's jurisdiction, Panama's jurisdiction, the county's jurisdiction. The citizen just expects the roads to be good.
Yeah, sure. And I remember a discussion with you one time talking about, I believe, interlocal agreements that you have where you're taking care of a road that I would think is in the city. And so when the city annexes, do they always annex to the road, or is it kind of a mixed bag of who gets it and a back and forth, it's yours, it's mine, it's yours, it's mine?
So I'll give you the political answer to that question, Mr. Tharnish, is yes. So what really happens is we look at the road, when the city annexes ground, they have to take the road that's adjacent to it.
Okay.
That's any city or village. Well, then what happens is, and I'll use that Van Dorn as an example. So we're not going to go and drive down Van Dorn and then drop our snowplow at the line, and then at the end of my jurisdiction line, pick up the snowplow. Because, by the way, anyone who would see a snowplow do that is going to lose their minds. And I'm going to have all sorts of hate coming at me. Not just me, but at the city also, because people expect us to figure these things out. Right. I mean, hey, we're the people. We're supposed to figure it out. So what we do is we kind of trade snow removal, and I'll say, okay, well, City of Lincoln, I'll take Van Dorn, and you take this little piece of Saltillo that's left down here, and we trade it all out and we tally it all up so it's it's equal, and we have a little agreement on it that we sign every year. Yeah,
That's great.
Very good. Well, I think we actually had a couple of people send in some questions here. So
Yeah, we did. So Jeremy in Lincoln was wondering if it would be possible, pave downtown, brick crosswalks, and then redoing the roads downtown.
yeah.
Because some of the roads downtown, especially this road right here.
yeah, we should count up the potholes right now. I see 3.
I don't like driving down those
Are
streets.
these
right
your
here.
potholes?
Right.
These are not my potholes. These are not my potholes. And so again, this is within the city of Lincoln, so it's Lincoln jurisdiction. Fun fact, and the system still has a few bugs, but I think we're getting it worked out. There's an app called C-Click Fix in Lincoln where you can take a picture of your pothole and upload it. But then we had the issue that, hey, maybe your pothole was in Lancaster County's jurisdiction, and so you took a picture of it and you uploaded it, and Lincoln's defined boundary didn't pick up that pothole. So then you're like, well, what's wrong with this? Why do I keep reporting this pothole? So we now participate in that program so that you don't have to know where you're at. You take a picture of your pothole, you upload it, and if it's in Lincoln's jurisdiction, it goes to Lincoln. If it's in my jurisdiction, it goes to me, and we address the issue with pothole.
Correct. Back when I was doing marketing for somebody, we had an idea. We did celebrity pothole, where people would take pictures of their pothole, and if you could identify it, you got free pizza.
We could do that for fundraising too. That would be awesome.
That's funny.
So what exactly then? So do you don't have any inside the city limits? Do you have any roads inside
No.
Lincoln? None. So there you go.
It's Lincoln's.
Okay. I had no
Interesting.
idea. So even major thoroughfares, that's
No, it
all up to
stops.
Lincoln.
So, like, for example, now as you're going down Saltillo, you might not have felt it, but with the new high school at about 70th and Saltillo,
Yep.
there's a little farmstead on the corner.
Okay.
And so the farmstead is still within the county, but the high school ground is within the city. So the city actually has a portion of Saltillo that's in their jurisdiction now.
Wow.
Yeah, that's just a little on the other side, on the east side of 70th.
So is the county then all of Saltillo? Because we have a federal project.
Well, the federal project that we're currently working on ends at 68th Street. However, we talk about federal projects, and Gary brings up interlocal agreements, which are an awesome way to get things done. We're currently working on 98th Street from Old Cheney to A, and the city has annexed part of that. Well, they annexed it when we were already working on our federal aid project, and so then for the portion of the improvements that are within the city's responsibility, they're paying for their 20% of that portion.
Okay.
So that, because again, we come back to, we need to figure these things out because citizens expect us to figure it out. And what we didn't want to do is, okay, now you're driving through and whoa, all of a sudden pavement stops, right?
Right.
Got a little orphan piece
Get a
of
little
gravel.
speed bump.
And, we do end up with these little orphan pieces of gravel here and there, unfortunately, once in a while, but we don't want it to be on a uniform stretch of road. So that 3 miles will be uniform. The payment is federal aid money, and then as well as Lancaster County, City of Lincoln, and for the first time ever, developer participation. So the developer paid for the roundabout that needs to be constructed with that project. And it was significant. It was a significant accomplishment for us because we negotiated that. And then the citizen can see one uniform project. Now, I don't know if I'll make it theoretically, but darn it, I'm going to try that we can do construction in a corridor and then just be like, we're walking away. We're done. Instead of doing construction in a corridor and then we move in and do more construction and then everybody's mad, right?
Okay.
I mean, we're going to try.
So
it's a big goal, Travis.
So like we were talking earlier about 82nd Street,
Yeah.
which I don't think goes all the way through to, I gave up on it. I quit. I turn on Roca Road now because it's like, this is never going to touch Saltillo. I
Hurts
quit.
Hurts me.
Is that you all the way to Saltillo then? Or is that another?
So on South 82nd Street, that is in the county's jurisdiction.
Okay.
Yeah, all the way to Saltillo.
So let's just say, for this example, if there was the last mile belonged to the city of Lincoln, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then do you go to the city of Lincoln and go, hey, we need to do this, and the county will do it because our equipment's there, or do you guys just,
If
grab
we
your
were,
ball and
like,
go
say
home?
we were already doing a project there, kind of like the 98th Street project.
Right.
So yeah, we went to the city of Lincoln. 98th Street, A to O, the city of Lincoln owns, I think, 25 to 35% of that right now is within their jurisdiction. So we're doing the project. We have an interlocal agreement with them that they pay for their portion of the project. And then we just go ahead and we do it.
And so on the federal aid, it's an 80-20 split, correct?
Well, not always.
No,
So,
but in this case, it is on 98th.
On 98th, it is an 80-20. On Saltillo, we were able to negotiate a 90-10, which was super significant and
Sure.
awesome.
Yeah. So the city would pay.
I have a few more questions I want to get in before we have to go to break.
Oh, no.
I don't know if this is part of your jurisdiction, but someone was asking about a feasible completion date for the East Beltway. Also, they do like roundabouts. So we got a debate kind of going
one
here.
for bad and one for good.
Nice.
So here's the thing about the East Beltway on feasible completion. In all honesty, where it's at right now, it had an approved environmental certification that has expired. So we would need to redo that, as well as update the design. The preliminary design is now over 20 years old. We've changed a lot of standards. So we need to upgrade that too. We probably need, 5 years to develop the project once we know it's funded. And we also have to remember the South Beltway was an accelerated construction project. It was really supposed to be more like 5 to 7 years construction. And man, that contractor was rocking it, and they got it done, I think, in about 3-ish. So when we look at the East Beltway, it's probably, non-accelerated construction, probably another 5 to 7 years for construction. So, we're really looking at 10 plus years.
Okay.
Well, how did the South Beltway become accelerated? I mean, how can you do that? What does that take?
I mean, that actually was I think the brainchild of former state senator Mike Hilgers, who's now attorney general, and he came up with a way to pay for the South Beltway under an accelerated program. And there was also the negotiation with the contractor, I think, gave incentives to finish it early.
Sweet.
So on that, so for the East Beltway, that's not all county money, right? Is there federal funds? Are there city funds? There's got to be some state funds.
Well, it's a really good question, Travis. So again, the East Beltway is estimated. Current estimates are $550 million. $550 million. And my total county budget is right now is probably around $40 million.
Okay.
And of course that's
So you're saying it's going to take about 150 years to get that done on
well,
your budget?
Here's what I'm saying. Without other, even if the city of Lincoln and I team together and try to get this done, we can never get across the finish line without the state. It needs to be a federalized project. And I'm really dedicated to making it a federalized project. There's some federal grant programs right now that this project could be eligible for. And of course, because we apply for a grant doesn't mean we get it.
Right.
But you know what I know, Travis, is if we don't apply for the grant, we're not getting it.
Yeah, you're definitely not getting it.
That's true. No one's going to be just handing money out.
Yeah, it doesn't just, no one.
Although it feels like that.
No one comes and does the make it rain for us in infrastructure. You have to, and that was really new to me coming from the private sector to learn that I still had to market and compete. Right.
Yeah.
You're marketing and competing your projects with your projects to try to get funding.
One last question I want to get to before we throw it to break. Someone asked, why did the Beltway exit at 27th and Saltillo not continue and connect to the new 27th Street? They said there's now a huge logjam when a train comes.
So there's some additional things that need to happen in there. And 27th Street is actually getting relocated in the future. And so it will, and if you look at the master plans on the City of Lincoln's website, the transportation, some of the plans that are on there, the road actually curves around and it will connect into that roundabout at approximately, I think it's either 30th or 33rd. So there's some different geometry coming for that.
And there's a lot of flooding down there because I used to drive that all the time, and it seemed like that south side was always underwater. I thought, how's this guy get crops out of here unless he's growing rice? Well,
there's a sod farm down there.
Yeah.
That is one of our hot spots for flooding.
Yeah.
We know in about a 10-year event, we're going to roll water over the road there. Yeah.
All right. Well, we better throw it to break. You're listening to the LIBA Hour right here on 93.7 The Ticket. We have one last segment, and then we're going to get the Movement Hour in here with Rob Coleman. But you're listening to the LIBA Hour right here on 93.7 The Ticket.
The first ever Pro Volleyball Federation Championship is set. The Omaha Supernovas will face the Grand Rapids Rise this Saturday at the CHI Health Center in Omaha in the match for $1 million for the right to claim the title in the inaugural season of the Pro Volleyball Federation. The Mullen Motors pregame show with Derek Pearson and Renee Saunders starts at 2:30 p.m. with first serve at 3:30. Make sure to tune in for the next Ag Appraisal Realty postgame show right after the match ends. Catch all the action on your flagship station, 93.7 The Ticket, and statewide on the Pro Volleyball Federation Radio Network.
Okay, it's time to sell the house. How do we even begin to choose from the hundreds of realtors in town?
Easy. We make a pros list.
You mean a pros and cons list?
No, just a pros list. We need someone with pro photography to showcase the house in the best possible way, pro marketing to make sure we get maximum exposure, pro negotiations so we know we get the best price.
This is one of those times where you already know the right answer, isn't it?
You know it is. Ben Bleicher and Professional Realty Group.
Contact Ben Bleicher and the team at Professional Realty Group of Berkshire Hathaway's Home Services Ambassador. Online at prg-ne.com.
Okay, kids, Dad's gonna teach you how to dance. First, spread your feet apart. Then, pump your knee, nod your head, shake your hips, and bite your lip ever so slightly. Now, with one hand in the air, point at people with the other hand. I call that the rock star.
Dance like a dad. It's a great way to make a moment with your kids.
Now, make a face like it just smells something bad.
Visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
On the Block with Strick and Austin.
Hey, he looked as advertised. He looked really good in the spring game. And because of that, we're going back to a bowl game this year, is what Husker fans are telling them. So I think the fans have a more realistic perspective, and I think this coaching staff has done a really good job of handling Dylan Raiola and the expectations around him.
Weekdays from 2 to 4 on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Nutrition Authority invites you to check out Emerge Zero. Building off the original best-selling Emerge formula, Emerge Zero is a body slenderizing solution that helps blast body fat, curb appetite, and provide the energy you need to get through the day. Emerge Zero can only be found in Nutrition Authority. Check us out at mynutritionauthority.com.
This is Coach Bill Bush. You all know my passion for Nebraska. Having coached all over the country, I can honestly say there is no place like Nebraska. You know where there's also no place like? Midwest Bank. Midwest Bank has proudly served Nebraska for over 70 years. And they're located in 9 different communities. Midwest Bank is ready, willing, and able to meet all your personal, business, and agriculture needs. Your community, your bank, and mine, Midwest Bank. Find out more at Midwest Bank. Member FDIC.
The Drive with A.D. Raff and Amon Green.
And what I enjoyed about being a Jordan athlete, not only beyond getting the shoes, was the fact he handpicked his athletes at that time. I remember meeting him for the first time. He said, I picked you myself. I watched you the way you ran the ball. He's like, if I played football, I would play like that. I was just like, I'm sitting there like, I was like, appreciate you, bro.
AG, to have the GOAT to say those words to you, man, those are the things like you mentioned, man, you never forget.
Weekdays from 8 to 10 on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Hello.
Angela, we have to break up.
But why?
Because you're a robot and I'm just a guy trying to get better internet.
It's Ella Fiber, isn't it? I always knew you wanted faster speeds. My contract isn't good enough for you.
Face it, Angela, they let me talk to real people.
Press 4 to break my heart. Oh wait, you already did.
Visit allofiber.com to switch today.
Houses? They're expensive. And once you buy one, you're kind of stuck with it for a while. You need to make sure you get your best house for the best price. You need Ben Bleicher and his team of pros at Professional Realty Group. They'll take the time to figure out what's important for you in your dream home, and they have the expertise to find the hidden issues that could surprise you after the sale. That's professional knowledge, proactive service. We call that potential. Ben Bleicher and the team at Professional Realty Group of Berkshire Hathaway's Home Service Ambassador. Find more online at prg-ne.com.
If you came across someone struggling with hunger, how would you recognize them?
By their clothes,
their age,
the way they speak. Hunger can be hard to recognize. Learn why at IamHungerInAmerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America, 200 Food Banks Strong, and the Ad Council.
Back to The Ticket weeknights on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back to the LIBA Business Hour this morning. I'm Gary Tharnish with Home Design Real Estate Group, co-hosting with Travis Filing, the CEO, president, man in charge of Lincoln Independent Business Association, and our special guest, Pam Dingman, the Lancaster County engineer, talking at this moment about scrubbing bridges.
Scrubbing those bridges in the spring. Yeah, that's what we do.
What's that all
I mean,
about?
it's a little bit of a shocker, isn't it?
Yes.
So, hey, when we have the winter and we're brining the roads, or we're putting salt and sand down, these bridges they get so dirty. Those dirty little bridges, man. And that salt, it's just like your car, right? And if you had salt over your car, you'd wash it. So we actually do go out and give the bridges all a little spring scrub and get that salt off, so we can have, a better chance of that bridge not having damage in the future.
Yeah, another important point for maintenance. Maintenance is so huge, and I love
It's
all
so
that you're
huge.
doing with that.
It's so huge. I really think the taxpayers expect us to take care of what we have.
Bingo. And we love seeing that when it's done too. There's too many times it's not done. And then all of a sudden you have a tragic mess, like O Street here right in front of us on the intersection. Just
We can talk bad about O Street because then now Pam's road.
No, gentlemen, let's be nice.
No,
Let's be nice.
okay, all right. No, when I do drive this road, I hate I know there's two spots. It's right when you go past the stoplight, it's just da-dunk. And I just I turn off sometimes because I'm okay, I know this one's bad. This one's okay. This one's pretty good. I don't like driving this road.
I'll tell you, because of you, Pam Dingman, travel is different for me now when I'm in my car. I'm driving through the state of New York last year, and I'm like, oh, that's a sexy bridge. I need to take a picture of that. And then I'm also like, ooh, I'm going to pull over for this one because she's going to be shocked when she sees all the rebar that's showing on our bridges. So thanks for that.
Yeah.
So when you salt bridges, because this is when I figured we didn't salt them anymore, because I grew up in Cleveland, and we back there, oh baby, we salted up, and we actually, I remember as a kid, we had a car, an old Chevette my mom drove, and you had to keep your feet up because the floorboards were gone because much salt, it just chewed cars to pieces. I don't see that anymore. So I went, oh, we must not salt roads.
Well, people are brining roads. We also use some Apex, but during that really cold, that -20
it was
snap
nasty
with the 2 blizzards that we had, brine doesn't work, and a lot of materials stop working, and so then you have to use Apex, or Apex with a little bit of salt and the gravel. And so anytime you're putting materials on the road, you want to come back and clean up after yourself later. And we have studied what we put on the road. Last winter, we probably are to the point where we put 20% of what we did 10 years ago on these roads as far as chemicals. That makes our roads last longer. And it's really a science that we calculate based on a whole bunch of super nerdy stuff, like what is the ambient air temperature, what is the dew point, what's the wind speed. We're looking at all those things, and when we decide how we're going to treat that road, so we can put the minimum amount of materials on that road, because 1, it saves money, right? We're using less materials. And then 2, hey, that stuff wasn't out on the road and the salt wasn't in the environment to start off with, or the Apex. So we really want to use the least amount possible and be really responsible about that.
Pam, at what temperature, if you can just say it's just the temperature, is brine ineffective?
It really depends on your mix of brine, because that's also a science. So what happens is the colder it gets, the more salt you put in your brine. Probably, 23 degrees, 18 degrees. Okay. You start having to have a brine that I'll just affectionately call it's a little hotter, right? We call it a little hot mix.
So a portion of brine is salt.
Right.
What are the basic mixtures, say, if it's 30?
Well, Gary kind of asking me to lay out a calculus equation randomly.
There's a lot of nerdery going on down here at the engineer's office.
To be a use for calculus.
Super. Thank God.
That's the basis of your questions. You just want to find out if calculus is
I didn't go through a whole semester of calculus for nothing. Come on.
Right?
Here we go.
I did 3 semesters of calculus, and then differential equations, numerical analysis. I'm not sure it made me a better person.
I love it.
Gary, I'm not sure it made me a better person. Yeah. I'm not sure it made me a great engineer. It definitely helped me learn how to solve problems. And
love that.
But I think it's important to know we have a calculation. Brine, when we get brine, we buy it from the city.
Okay.
Because they have their own little brine manufacturing. We try to buy and we don't buy brine with the beet juice because it has some organic components that don't they don't really fit county use well. And I think that's a really important thing. Like, people always like to compare the city to the county, and even when we're talking about maintenance on this road, right? But here's the thing. A urban snow removal process is way different than a rural snow removal process.
Sure, just the wind alone.
In the rural community, yeah, we're so worried about the wind. That couple weeks in January, it just smashed us. I mean, God bless our truck drivers and our motor grader drivers, because they woke up and probably every day for 12 or 14 days, they battled 5-foot drifts. And we do what's called, and by the way, everyone's always super pumped about this the first time, we call it drift busting, where we have this V plow that has like these, it's like 6 feet in the point of it. And it's got these 8-foot wings out on it. And the process is they back up and they just slam through the drifts. We call it drift busting.
Sounds like
nice. That does
How do I
sound like
sign?
fun.
Can we do a ride along?
It's probably fun for the first day, and after that, you've been bounced around enough in the machine, you're not happy anymore.
Is there any last minute thoughts you guys want to ask before we wrap things up here?
I don't know if there's anything I want to ask, but I want to thank you again for what you do for the county and the citizens of Lancaster County, because it's a lot and it's thankless. I know that quite often.
It's humbling on a good day, but it is my honor to serve.
Yeah. Well, thank you for your service, and it's much appreciated.
All right. Well, I'm very excited. This has been a good show.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm looking forward to next week. We haven't set up our guests yet, but if any listeners have any ideas, reach out to us. Let us know.
Yes. Thanks, Lincoln. Have a great day.
Your business runs like a well-oiled machine. It's important that your actual machines do too. Stern is here to make sure you don't have to worry about that. They provide solutions for heavy equipment and automotive fuels, lubricants, and equipment guard options. And with Stern's commitment to customer service for the past 40 years, you know you have a partner to help support your operations for years to come. Contact Roger at Stern Company by calling 1-800-4